Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to dive into one of the hottest political and financial debates happening in Florida right now. The push to end property taxes. I can't even believe I'm making a video on this. Guys, this is a huge deal because it directly impacts every single homeowner. And if you're thinking about moving here, you'll want to know what's on the table in the next 1 to 2 years, what's realistic, and how it might affect your bottom line. Now, stick with me because at the end, I'm going to share how you can actually get part of your closing costs paid, maybe all of them, if you decide to buy a home here in Florida. That's worth waiting around. So, why are Florida leaders even talking about ending property taxes, right? Well, in short, home values have soared. Since 2019, pre-COVID, property tax bills across Florida have risen by double digits. In some areas, as much as 45%. Families, especially retirees on fixed incomes, are feeling squeezed. To show you how crazy this is, I have an in-law that bought a home. They've lived in it for 40 years. Their property taxes are something like $900 a year. It's because they've lived in there and it's frozen. When they sell that home, the new owner will inherit property taxes around $4,500 a year. That is what's happening with our property taxes. It's almost gotten to the point where property taxes are adding $300 to $800 a month to local mortgages here in Florida, and it's getting untenable. So what happened? Governor DeSantis has made this a signature issue on his final term. He's proposing a constitutional amendment in Florida for us, the voters, in 2026 that could change how we fund local government in a massive way. Seems to be a theme in our country. Now let's break down the main proposals that our politicians are discussing. One of them, issuing a $1,000 property tax rebate. DeSantis, he's proposing giving homeowners with homestead exemptions a $1,000 rebate this December 2025. This would directly offset state mandated school property taxes. There's a lot to dig in there, guys. We'll do that on other videos, but that is on the table right now. They're talking about raising the homestead exemption. Right now, you can exempt up to $50,000 of your home's value from taxes. Lawmakers are discussing bumping that to 75 or even 100,000, which would mean bigger annual savings for the primary homeowner. And then the most elaborate and controversial, complete elimination for homesteads. This is Governor DeSantis' boldest plan. And there is good, there's bad, and there's ugly. Now, some proposals in this field would wipe out property taxes on primary residents entirely, not on people that own a second home or investment home, but eliminating all property taxes. So can you imagine if your property taxes are $5,000, $7,000, $10,000 a year, that being taken off the table? Well, that's a discussion. But here's where it gets a little tricky. That is a constitutional issue. That means voters in Florida would have to approve it by 60%. And I'm not sure if enough people in Florida are going to fall in line for that. You've got to understand, people that rent, people that own secondary properties, they're not going to vote for this. I mean, it's just realistic. But if this did make it to an amendment vote next year and it was passed, you're going to see major change happening in the state of Florida. Now, these are early ideas. Some of them are like a full repeal, and they've already been sidelined. Some of these ideas have been sidelined. However, lawmakers are focusing more on rebates, exemptions, and incremental relief. What we're seeing is that the full repeal of property taxes is on the outlier. Whatever happens, my humble opinion, there is going to be some type of property tax relief. And in my humble opinion, as a realtor and an owner, we have to have that in Florida. So here's the reality check. Eliminating, if we look, if we eliminated all the property taxes, it does create a massive budget shortfall. Cities and towns rely on that to fund police, ambulatory, road construction, all of the services that they provide. That money's going to have to be replaced somewhere. Take Miami-Dade County, for instance. There are those that say the county would lose almost $3.5 billion in a single year if property taxes went away. And that's money for schools, police, fire, infrastructure, and parks. The conversations that we're seeing now is if that does happen, some type of increased tax would have to happen. Right now, some counties, 7% tax if you go and buy gas or groceries, whatever. We're probably going to see that go up. Now, that's not just the big counties like Miami-Dade. Small towns say property tax revenue pays for essentials like mowing, road repair, public safety. Now, without it, they'd either have to cut services drastically or realistically, they're going to raise taxes another way. Even with the Republican Party, some lawmakers are skeptical inside the Republican Party, which is the party that is controlling the state of Florida. House committees have said they're not pursuing a full repeal right now. The Senate, they've not outlined a clear plan either. So there is momentum, but also there is hesitation. So what about you? Polls show the idea of eliminating property taxes is popular in theory, but the numbers tell a tougher story. About 33% of voters say they support outright elimination. We talked about that a minute ago. But when asked if they support a candidate promising it, that number jumps closer to 45%. So there is some juxtaposition there with the numbers. However, for a constitutional amendment to pass, you need 60% approval statewide from the voters. That's a high bar, especially when opponents will campaign hard on the risk of losing school funding and public safety dollars. So where do things go from here? Well, honestly, expect incremental relief first. Things like bigger exemptions, rebate checks, are more likely than a full repeal. Watch closely if you're in Florida for ballot language for 2026 for an amendment. How that's worded will make a lot when it goes to voters. It matters, guys. So pay attention in 2026 for you Florida residents. If an amendment happens, read it closely. Make sure that it aligns with your goals and with your wishes. Now, keep an eye on your local county and city budgets, guys. Some governments may raise fees or shift revenue sources in anticipation of upcoming cuts. And yes, Governor DeSantis could still call a special legislative session in 2026 with the idea that he can force lawmakers to act timed, not coincidentally, with the primaries. So if you're buying a home in Florida, here's what you need to know today. Don't assume property tax rates you see online will be your rate. When you buy, the home is reassessed at your purchase price. Remember the example of my in-laws? And that could mean higher taxes than the current owner is paying. If you're planning to live in your home full time, apply for the homestead exemption right after closing. It'll save you money immediately and caps how much your taxable value can increase year after year. Understand that while the state is talking about big changes, they won't happen overnight. Any repeal or major reform will take years and will almost certainly face legal and political battles. So here's the bottom line. Florida's push to end property taxes is one of the biggest debates shaping our state's future. It could mean big savings for homeowners. On the other flip, it could mean tough questions about how we pay for schools, police, and local services. So if you're planning to buy a home, don't sit back and wait for lawmakers to decide. You need to make sure your tax situation is clear from day one. Now, like I promised at the beginning, if you're going to buy a home here in Central Florida and you decide to work with me, Kelly, the real estate ninja, as your agent, I have several special closing cost incentive programs. Number one, I gift 25% of my buyer agent commission to you for closing costs. That's huge. Number two, if you're interested in new construction, we're going to go out and look at developers who are giving low interest programs, and some of our developers are completely paying your closing fees. So, what you need to do is call or text me anytime. My information is below. Well, not anytime. Don't call me at 1 o'clock in the morning, right? But go ahead and text me, call me. I'll have a link in the description. You can Zoom with me. And let's talk about not only this topic, but what a move to Central Florida could look like for you. What are some of the best areas to look into? If you're going new construction, what are some of the best deals available? I look forward to that. All right, guys, don't forget if you like this content, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, stay with us on this journey. We try to make sure that we give you good, relevant content if you're thinking of making the move and you're going to call Central Florida your home. Until the next video, have a great week.